Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now. I'm Chase Senior, and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. So many content options out there. That's why we're always appreciative that you come on by and you hang out. As for what we're getting into on the docket, ranking the most important Sixers after the All-Star break, as Philadelphia under Nick Nurse has this level of excitement around this basketball team, looking to finally break that curse and get past the second round of the NBA playoffs for the first time since 2001. It is trending toward the end of February, and we're having a February sub-battle inside the walls of Chat Sports with 76ers Now and Boston Celtics Today. Earlier in the month, we were leading Celtics Today. Now we've fallen behind. Which channel could pick up the most subscribers here in February? Extra day because it's a leap year. Right now, Allie Barefoot, host of our Celtics channel, is giving me the middle finger. Smitty can't see me because he can never see me. He can't hear me either because he has earbuds in. Let's kick their ass. I'm not playing around. F the Celtics, F Smitty, F Barefoot, go Sixers. Eastern Conference standings right now coming out of the All-Star break. You look at where Philadelphia is positioned here in that 5 spot. If the season were to end right now, we'd see a 4-5 matchup between the New York Knicks and Philadelphia. That would be a very, very entertaining first-round matchup. Boston Celtics, it feels as though this might be their year. 43-12 up to this point. Number 1 seed in the East. Cavaliers, they've been streaking of late, 36-17. Milwaukee Bucks, you know they're not going to do anything with Glenn Rivers, right? The ultra excuse maker. Knicks there, Sixers there, 4-5. And then you have the Indiana Pacers, Miami Heat, Orlando Magic. They've really free-fallen. Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks rounding things out. Top 10 spots in the East. Can the Sixers, this is really a big talking point, and you theorize moving forward, get a top 4 seed? You do that, you put yourself in a really good position. You get home court advantage if it's the 4-5 matchup, and if you earn that 5 spot, obviously the New York Knicks would get that home court advantage, or you put yourself in that 3 poll, you get that 3-6 matchup, which could be advantageous, although Indiana Pacers, very dangerous squad. Sixers' first 10 games coming out of the break. You have the Knicks, good preview to see how you match up with New York. You have the Cavaliers on the back end of that back-to-back. You have a day of rest. Then you play Milwaukee, Patrick Beverley, Glenn Rivers, how you doing? On the road against the Boston Celtics on the 27th to round out February. And then to start March, easy game against the Hornets, difficult one against the Mavs, an easy game against the Nets, Grizzlies, winnable game against the Pelicans, then you play the Knicks once again. So those head-to-head matchups against New York, obviously going to be very important to see how you match up with the potential first-round opponent. I've always wanted to see a first-round matchup between Philadelphia and New York, right up I-95, division rivals. Not that divisions really matter in the NBA, but important for playoff jockeying too. The 76ers, coming out of the break, have the 9th hardest schedule remaining. 30 teams in the NBA, and it's going to be a difficult schedule, also because Joel Embiid is dealing with that knee injury. We might not see him until the NBA playoffs, maybe the end of the year. Hopefully we do see him, though. We spoke with Dr. David Chow in that video that went out the other day. You can get an injury update on the Embiid front from one of the best in the business. The Sixers' full-strength roster, it shapes up to be a pretty good one, especially with some of the acquisitions that they made at the deadline, and this starts to get the wheels in motion for how you envision this Sixers roster looking, and then the most important Sixers coming out of the break for this stretch run. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton. Probably going to be your starting 5 if Embiid comes back. Your role players, Nicolas Batum, Paul Reed, Kyle Lowry, Payne, as well as Kelly Oubre Jr. So we set the foundation with that, and then we ask you this. Can the Sixers finish with a top 4 seed? With head coach Nick Nurse, you feel as though it's possible. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Most important Sixers, we have a tie for that 10th spot. And it comes down to 2 backup point guards in Payne and Kyle Lowry. I'm interested to see how Nick Nurse is going to configure what the backup point guard is going to look like after Tyrese Maxey. Payne, Kyle Lowry, two different players. And between those two, we're not sure who's going to get more burn, who's going to get more run. What we do know is that they're different players, and what we do know is that the Sixers need a competent backup point guard. By bringing in Kyle Lowry, you have an upgrade offensively over Patrick Beverley. You take a step back as far as your defensive tenacity, but Patrick Beverley was pretty much a zero on the offensive side of the floor. Kyle Lowry is an upgrade there, and he gives you a guy who can shoot the three, unlike Beverley, 38.5% from three. He's not the athlete, doesn't have the speed or the twitch or the explosiveness that Payne gives you. Payne gives you those areas, but he's not his playoff season, and you don't trust Payne as much as you do Kyle Lowry, who's won an NBA championship, who's played in a lot of high-leverage playoff games, who's a little bit more efficient. So I think that Kyle Lowry is the better point guard. I'd like to see him get some more minutes. Obviously, it's a cool storyline with him returning to Philadelphia, but what do you think? Who's the better point guard, and who gets more opportunities to get some minutes for the Sixers team? KL for Kyle Lowry, CP for Payne. Coming in at number 8 is Kelly Oubre Jr., who's cooled off a little bit since getting off to that fast start. And a lot of people kind of blew their load a little bit earlier, pause, with Kelly Oubre Jr. They got overly excited about the impact that he gave this Sixers team, and certainly it was great what he was able to do in the early going. But there's a reason why Kelly Oubre Jr. went unsigned. There's a reason why no teams really gave him all that much money, and there's a reason why the sample size and the stock has gone down the last couple of years with Golden State, with Charlotte. He is what he is. He's a good rotation player. He's too inefficient. With Kelly Oubre, it's going to be really good one night, really bad the other. And for him, you're just asking him to be efficient and to pick his spots, to not overdo it. The numbers up to this point, not bad. But when I talk about him just kind of going down as far as the stock and him cooling off, his three-point number is down to 32%. And that's really where the career average is about, especially over the last couple of seasons. 14 points per game, good athleticism, he can get to the cup, he can defend, 46% from the floor. You'll certainly take that from a reserve, but just not efficient enough to be a starter, and make some head-scratching mistakes too when he's in that starting lineup. More important Sixers as we rank them 10-1 here coming up around the corner. But first, today's Philadelphia 76ers Now is sponsored by Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered straight to your door. You'll have over 35 different options and a week to choose from keto, calorie smart, vegan plus, and veggie, and more. There's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. What are you waiting for? Get started and have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. And what a great deal we have for you. 50% off when you use our brand new code SixersChat50. You eat well, you save, you fuel up, you feel great, you save time. Those are all wins in my book. Pick your pre-made meals. They're prepped and cooked to perfection, delivered straight to your door. All you have to do, put them in the microwave, you heat them up, they're ready to eat, and you can enjoy them. Factormeals.com/SixersChat50, code SixersChat50, 50% off. Get on it. Coming in at number 7, B-Ball Paul, straight out the mud, Paul Reed. And I think he could play a more important role down the stretch for Philadelphia here. And I like how he's really come into his own since Joel Embiid got hurt. Very important stretch for him, as well as his impact on this Sixers team. For as long as Embiid's out, Paul Reed must continue to improve and separate himself as one of the top backup bigs in the NBA, because he certainly paid like it, right? Up to this point, 6.5 points per game this year, 5.5 rebounds. Very active on both sides of the floor, can alter shots and affect shots at the rim, can throw down some dunks off the two-man game and the alley-oops, has a little bit of a mid-range, occasionally will take a three-point shot, giving you about a block per night. B-Ball Paul, I'm rooting for you. I'm a big fan. I want to continue to see him ascend as one of the better backup bigs in the association. Buddy Hield checking in at number 6, and I really like what he's been able to do since the Sixers traded for him at the trade deadline. He's been in fuego, he's been hot from long range, and we know his job. Shoot that basketball, man. And the Sixers are going to need it come playoff time. If they can have a reliable three-point shooter who can be a sniper from deep, and Joel Embiid comes back, imagine how much easier Hield's job is going to be with Embiid on the floor. What do I mean by that? More open looks. With the Sixers here, Buddy Hield has been phenomenal. 22 points per game, 7.5 assists as his playmaking and creating skills for himself and others has surprised. 52% from the floor, 45% from downtown. That number, naturally, probably going to go down, but if Embiid comes back, he can easily be at 45% and that clip. He's also playing for a new contract. Wouldn't hate seeing him around in Philadelphia for a long time because he is a good on-court pairing with Joel Embiid. Number 5, Nicolas Batum. Two-way impact player for Philadelphia here. And Batum is another player who I think a lot of people have been pleasantly surprised with. He can be that glue guy. And glue guys are really, really important for a playoff run because he does a little bit of everything. Floor stretcher, quick release, not afraid to defend on that low block. And for the Sixers here, his numbers have cooled just a bit, but a very efficient 6 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2+ assists. This is a player who you want in the trenches. You want in the foxhole, a battle-tested player who's played in a lot of big games internationally, a lot of big games at the NBA level. Some might say that Tobias Harris should be more important than at number 4, but I think the acquisition of Buddy Hield absorbs the impact of Tobias Harris a little bit if he were to have a clunker. We say it year in and year out, though. The pressure is always on Tobias Harris. He's the X factor. He plays really well. That could literally be the difference between the Sixers making it to the finals and then being ousted in the first round if they play a team like Indiana or a very, very solid New York Knicks team. At this point, I don't need Tobias Harris to be great. Just don't be the reason they lose games, and don't be the reason that they get sent home packing in the first round, which would be awful for a team that's had a lot of playoff success as far as winning in round 1, having an opportunity in round 2. Toby this year, he's been solid, right? 3-point numbers aren't all that good. I think he's pressed a little bit with it being a contract year. Sub 35%, not ideal. 51%, pretty good. Has the mid-range game working, almost 18 points per game. At number 3, DeAnthony Melton. Chase, he's way too high. Why do you have DeAnthony Melton there? Combo guard, plays well on both ends, can be a lockdown defender. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a reserve? Biggest X factor come playoff time, because if he plays like he's capable of playing, DeAnthony Melton is a really impact player in this league. Why can't Melton be Philadelphia's Derek White? I love that note, and I love that thought from myself and producer Jake Chipper. Why can't he be Philadelphia's Derek White? You see how Derek White moves the needle in big-time pressure cooker moments for Boston? DeAnthony Melton is that type of player. And this is a player that I would also like to be a part of this core because he's a dog, and he can really make an impact on both ends of the floor. A high IQ player, too, who we saw in TD Garden last year in that second-round series between Philly and Boston. Not scared of the moment. Number 2, Tyrese Maxey. And he's cooled off a little bit. Hasn't necessarily been a star since Joel Embiid has gone out. But we know that Tyrese Maxey has that in him. In the All-Star game, it was good to see him get that recognition. A great playoff run would cement Tyrese Maxey as one of the top guards in the NBA. He's already one of the top young guards in the NBA. When you're an All-Star, you're one of the top guards in the NBA overall, but he can really cement himself as a superstar in this league. The numbers this year have been awesome. And you look at the figures here. Almost 26 points per game. We talked about him taking that Jamal Murray type of leap. We're witnessing that right now. 6 assists, primary ball handler. The distributing skills, I think, have been awesome. 45% from the floor, 38% from three. He's sub 40%, which is a little bit of a surprise, but more volume here. So, of course, context is important. And then lastly, checking in at number one, it's the big man. It's the reigning MVP, Joel Embiid. Is he going to be able to come back? When he does come back, what type of shape will he be in? What type of player will he be? If Embiid is out, the Sixers literally have no chance. And you can chalk it up as Philadelphia probably being bounced in round one, not having an opportunity in round two. You could mess around, you could flirt around with the second round exit, but you're not going to make a deep playoff run without Joel Embiid. Up until his injury, it looked as though he was going to win back-to-back MVPs. If Embiid is at his MVP level in the playoffs, the Sixers have a chance against anybody because he's that good. He's that special. Bona fide superstar, as Stephen A. Smith would say. And the numbers this year, it's a shame that Embiid got hurt because look at these numbers, man. Before Embiid went down with that knee injury, we were seeing one of the most special seasons among any player in recent NBA memory. 35 points per game at 7 feet, 11 rebounds. The assist numbers went up in Nick Nurse's system. He wasn't getting as flustered when he was hit with some of those double teams and pestered in the corner. 53.3%, impressive with the volume there. And again, for a 7-footer, to connect on 37% of his three-pointers. And then to be as automatic as he is at the free throw line, it's just one of one stuff. So with that, we ask you this. Who is the most important Sixer for the rest of this year? The health of Embiid is the most important. Tyrese Maxey's impact is the most important to me. Let us know. Join the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll catch you next time here on 76ers Now.